Today's episode of the 2Close2Call podcast is brought to you by theramking.com. Visit www.theramking.com for all your t-shirt needs. Guys, I know I've said this on every episode pretty much, but honestly it's true. I just used the Ram King again for a work event we have coming up with my team as a team building exercise. We got us all t-shirts. And I know I'm not the only one out there who's doing things like this. I saw recently on his Instagram page he's getting back into the spirit wear with the elementary schools and intermediate schools. So any of you listeners out there who know a teacher, please bring up to them the Ram King. Visit www.theramking.com for all your t-shirt needs. We have a lovely episode scheduled for you here today. Pags and I dive into our favorite number 15s of all time as we keep the tradition going, and I think you guys are going to like a few of those picks. Not a lot to choose from in the Philadelphia area for 15, so we go a little bit outside of the region for our responses. We then transition into NBA All-Star Weekend, where we give you our picks who will win the NBA Skills Contest, the three-point shooting contest, as well as the dunk contest. Pags tries to redeem himself with a couple of those picks and then asks a very interesting question on who would be our all-time contestants for the three-point and dunk event. Who would we like to see if every person was in their prime compete? We want to hear from you guys on that response as well. We think our teams will stack up against anyone. After basketball, we transition into Kyler Murray talk and discuss whether or not him entering the NFL draft coming up in March is a good idea for him, or if he should just stick with baseball and his long-term health. Speaking of baseball, I then get into a State of the Union for Phillies pitchers and catchers. The Phillies reported this past Wednesday for their first official workouts, and I will give you, the listener, a run-through of the Phillies rotation as well as AAA and AA. And a few names to look out for on the prospect pool after some recent moves. As we conclude our baseball talk, we then get into more football. We discuss the Alliance Logo tournament that Pags and I are currently running with you, the listeners. We talk on who won the first round and who is in the semifinals and give our picks for those matchups to advance into the Uniform Championship game. After this, we get into what I think is going to be the best segment moving forward here over the next couple months, and that is Pags and I live draft our Alliance Fantasy Football teams. We draft our teams live on the air, put together our rosters, and are ultimately going to keep score through the rest of the season to see who has the best fantasy football team. The loser of the competition is going to have to do something funny that the winner determines. So as always, guys, thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Happy Valentine's Day to all the listeners out there. We hope you have a wonderful week, and come on in and enjoy.
Coach, you were 5-79 last year. Why the playoff talk?
Well, we made a couple of key trades, and we got the funk.
Oh, well, glory be, the funk's on me, Bob.
Keep that funk alive. Keep that funk alive.
Well, it's 1975, and we'll just be keeping the funk alive. So what
Aloha and hello, and welcome to the 15th episode of the 2Close2Call cast. I'm your co-host, Miho, as always, here with my boy Pags. Pags, TGIF, my brother.
Amen to that. What's going on, everybody? Let's have ourselves a Friday.
That's it, another week down, right into the middle of February already. The Valentine's episode of the 2Close2Call cast. So hopefully everybody out there is doing something special for somebody.
Yeah, it's that day of the year where they tell you have to tell the person you love that you love them. So did you do anything for Valentine's Day?
No, man, we don't do anything for the day itself. We went out for dinner yesterday. We're going to do something this weekend, but my wife used to wait tables for McCormick's and Schmidt's, so she hates Valentine's Day itself, how crowded it is. They rush you in and out. It's just a nightmare of a scene, especially with a 1-year-old out there, so no thank you.
It's a hassle to get a babysitter and all that stuff. I don't want to deal with the crap with everybody out there, and just it's more stressful than fun.
Like I mentioned, it's our 15th episode here. I guess right off the bat, do you have a favorite 15?
You know, it was tough because I didn't want to go Tebow because Tebow drives me nuts. I had to really think about it, and Not necessarily a huge fan of him in his professional career, but I think of this man as a freshman at Syracuse, putting together one of the most ridiculous seasons in college basketball, Carmelo Anthony. I just remember my dad being a huge Syracuse fan. It was awesome watching him just fucking eat up the league, and that had never really been seen before as a freshman, killing it like that.
Main highlight I remember is the block in the championship game against, what was it, Kansas, I believe?
Yeah, they played Kansas, and it was exciting to watch. My dad was super pumped, and my brother, being named Anthony, of course, he had the Nuggets Anthony jersey, and I've always respected Melo. I know he doesn't get the accolades that he probably should. No championships, anything like that, but he's been a solid player in the NBA for years.
And finally at the end of his rope here, right? Free agent still, I think. Still not on a squad. Maybe a buyout candidate.
Who the hell is going to take him? I mean, he says he's not going to be a bench player, and it's like, hey, you might not be ready to be a starter anymore.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to retire that crown and come off the bench if you want to fucking keep playing.
Swallow your fucking pride, Carmelo.
Seriously, right?
So who do you got?
I have another college basketball player that popped into my mind. Another, well, I guess ACC player now. Back then, Syracuse in the Big East. But Vinsanity, Vince Carter, wore 15 through Carolina and into the pros with Toronto for years. I know he's bounced around recently, but I remember watching his highlights in 1998, him against Tim Duncan when he was at Wake Forest, and they used to go at it all the time.
Oh, man, being in your basement watching Carolina basketball back in the day with Antoine Jameson and Ed Cota, oh, those were some good old times.
That's right, man. He was always putting on a show. And then the 2000s dunk contest, the dunk contest to end all dunk contest, the hanging on his elbow, through the legs, coming from behind windmill. It was like the first time everybody was just like, holy shit, this guy is from another planet.
I don't think we're ever going to see another dunk contest like that. That was unbelievable. And he ended it. He was like, nope, this thing's over. Fucking hands to the throat, over.
I always remember Shaq. I think he was a judge that year, going bonkers in the old like Kangol hat they used to wear back in the late 90s and shit. So like you mentioned, man, every dunk contest, even through today, people have been trying. They're jumping over cars, they're jumping over people, but even still, dude, it's like nothing compares to that one with Vince.
We got that coming up this weekend, a little NBA All-Star weekend, which has kind of lost its luster, but still exciting, still something to watch on Saturday night.
Do the skills competition, the dunk contest, 3-point, and then I believe they actually call it the skills competition with the bigs and guards running around, followed by the game on Sunday. I still enjoy watching Saturday. I tune into the dunk contest, even though it continues to disappoint year over year. I know we have a decent lineup this year, so I guess, Pags, the question is, who you taking in each of these contests here this Saturday? You got to redeem yourself yet again here on the prediction trail.
I go more by the heart than what I actually think will happen. So let you go first, and then maybe I can figure out who the hell I'm going to pick today. First, we'll go with the skills competition. First of all, what the hell does it all entail?
Well, this is the one where they dribble around and then throw the ball through the fucking hoops, and then they got to do a layup and like a 3-point shot, or they always end up missing it and laying the ball. And it's like a fucking game of knockout at the end. So I'm not a huge fan of this one.
So it's more speed than anything.
Well, they do it guards and bigs, so it's one guard versus one big at the end. And honestly, the bigs have been holding their own because they're so fucking skilled nowadays. But I still see it as kind of a show me type of thing. It really doesn't bring the viewers in, and I don't know. I just don't buy it. But I'll take a guard this year. More specifically, I'm going to go a little bit outside of the box. And like you mentioned, speed. I'm actually going to go with De'Aaron Fox from the Kings to take the title.
Of course, De'Aaron Fox. I'm going to go with more of a popular pick. I'm going to go Luka Doncic from the Mavs. Keep his claim to fame going. He thinks he should be an all-star. He's got something to prove. He's going to go out there and ball in the skills competition.
Yeah, that's the other thing, man. People who don't make the game are allowed to participate in the skills competition. I guess they're best suited for the event. But, hey, what are you doing here? I mean, I guess in his case it's Rising Stars Challenge. But still, come on. You should be in the game to fucking compete in these.
Yeah, I think most of these guys are rising stars, except for maybe Mike Conley. Mike Conley was like, oh, yeah, I'll go and do something on the old All-Star weekend. I got nothing better to do.
So they actually follow that one up with the 3-point contest, where we have a few decent names participating this year. This is one where the best shooters in the game actually don't mind competing still, kind of unlike the dunk contest where we don't get the best of the best. But in the 3-point contest, like I said, best of the best, I'm going to take the favorite, Steph Curry. I believe he's actually lost in the past in this event because he doesn't give a shit, but for some reason I'm counting on him to try this year and go home with the trophy.
I'm going to go with old reliable Dirk. Dirk's won it before. Dirk has probably his last year here, and I'm going to go with him taking the 3-point crown at the end.
Dirk, dude, he's too old. He's not even going to be able to get all those fucking shots off in 60 seconds.
Bro, he's taller. The ball literally has to go less distance.
Yeah, he's got to bend down to pick him up from the fucking...
Well, that is true. That is true. Well, come on, Dirk. I'm pulling for you.
Let's go. The nightcap and the main event, so to speak, is obviously the dunk contest. Like I said, it's let us down in years past, but a decent lineup of 4 contestants this year with Dennis Smith Jr., Miles Bridges, John Collins, and the man who will not be named, Hamidou Diallo from the Thunder. So
no idea who that is.
Yeah, me either. John Collins, I've heard that name before, and Miles Bridges being a rookie, but I'm going to go Dennis Smith Jr. just because I've seen some of his highlights on House of Highlights and some of his dunks during game action, and that motherfucker can elevate.
I have no idea who I'm going to go with. I will just take a shot in the dark and go John Collins from the Hawks.
Yeah, he's a big guy, you know. They always have that advantage-disadvantage of he's a taller guy, so he should be able to complete more dunks, but if they do something a little more athletic, they tend to get the benefit of the doubt for being a big boy.
Absolutely. But I have a bigger question for you here. All time. Let's go 3-point contest all time. Start there. If you could pick 3 people to watch compete in this competition, who would you go with?
So 3 people all time. Are these people are obviously in their prime when they're competing in this?
Absolutely. They're young, they're vibrant, and they're stroking them like no other.
All right. So in that case, I'll take this year's soon-to-be champion. Like I mentioned, Steph Curry, one of the best shooters ever, revolutionized the game of basketball here with the 3-point shot. My next contestant, who else? I'll actually take his coach, Steve Kerr.
Oh!
Yeah, but Steve Kerr in the Bulls uniform, Steve Kerr, the man
Not
who
the
was...
Spurs.
Not the Spurs. My man knocking him down with Jordan and Pippen and that whole Tony Kukoc.
There it is.
Throwing that name out, so I'm going with him. And then my last one, I'm actually not sure which uniform I'm going to put him in. I'm thinking Boston Celtics for some reason. But my man, Ray Allen.
Oh.
The guy who hit the shot with the Heat to bring everybody back in the building and ultimately win that championship for him coming back. So those are 3 shooters I think you could put up against anybody.
I would go Ray Allen in a Supersonics jersey just because I think that's cool.
There you go. I like it.
Little throwback there for you. I went a little more old school on their ass. First one, I went with Larry Bird just because he's the greatest to ever do it. He's won a couple. He knows what he's doing. Next one, a little different because I think he's more of a flow of the game kind of guy. Look at old Reggie Miller.
Okay.
Get Spike Lee in the stands, rattling him up, and he just goes out there and fires.
What do you have, 10 in a row that one game against the Knicks?
He's awesome. I love Reggie. And he's actually a really good announcer. When he's on the Sixers games, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Reggie Miller.
Yeah, he tells the truth. Shoots it straight.
And then the last one, I'll just go with old Philly, J.J. Redick, because he's the best to do it.
You're taking him in a Sixers uniform, too?
Yeah, there you go. Not a Magic's, not a Clippers. I'm going Sixers.
All right. Well, listeners, we're going to leave it up to you to pick who you think would ultimately be the winner. I guess total score, right? Each person could get 30. So who do you think would get the highest total scores out of those teams? We're excited to hear from you.
And then I want to do the same thing, but with the dunk contest.
Okay, all right. I see that. Let me think here for a second.
Let me preface it by saying I want it to be sheer dunk ability, getting up there. Who's going to put on the best show?
Okay, all right. Well, I'll start with my man. As you were speaking there, I was thinking, obviously, Finsanity, Vince Carter, number 15, previously mentioned. Yeah, he's all over this episode. 2000s Vince Carter. I think that's the top of the top, so got you there. Haha, suck it, I went first. But I'm actually going to follow that up with a current NBA star, and that is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm going with the Greek freak. I want him to dunk from the 3-point line. Not even the free throw line, the 3-point line. Anything less than that will be a disappointment from Giannis. And I'm going to wrap it up, like you mentioned, with some of your stipulations with a guy who can jump through the roof and has won a couple of dunk contests. Not exactly a superstar in basketball, but Zach LaVine has definitely shown that he deserves to be on this list.
No, I like all of those. Those are all. Giannis would be unbelievable to see out there. I mean, the shit he probably could do is just insane, and it makes me really wish that they would fucking do this. I'm going to go a little stereotypical here. I had Vince Carter as well, so I will keep him on my list.
All right, I guess I'll allow it.
Because you went first and I didn't get to say it. But Vince Carter, unbelievable. I'm sure he has even more tricks up his sleeve in a Raptors jersey, of course. Then I'm going to go the GOAT battle. Throw LeBron, throw MJ out there, have them go at it. I would love it. Oh, both of them. LeBron in a 6 jersey, though.
Miami
Heat 6 jersey, and Jordan in his 45 jersey. There we go.
when he came back after he couldn't hit a curveball.
Either that or have him in his White Sox uniform and see what he looks like doing that.
Pull the baseball pants up, go out there and fucking rock it in your turfs.
Okay, so speaking of LeBron, there's a game to be played then on Sunday. Team LeBron versus Team Giannis. It was pretty cool to see them do the draft live on TV, and what'd you think of that?
Yeah, man, I was laughing. I was glad they did that because you could see who was last pick, who was at the very end. I know they did Dirk and D-Wade.
By the way, Vince Carter should have been involved in that.
Yeah, right? If this is indeed his last year, right? He hasn't said he's retiring. But I laughed when Giannis called out James for tampering.
Yeah,
when who'd he pick? I think it was...
It was Anthony Davis.
Yeah, it was Anthony Davis.
Isn't that tampering?
Oh, right. And then they went all the way through, and we had our first trade in draft history, which was another comical event. LeBron James putting a few players together who don't exactly have the best past.
Yeah, and I just loved their reaction when they traded Westbrook for Simmons because they knew exactly what they were doing, putting Embiid and Westbrook on together because apparently Westbrook doesn't fuck with Embiid.
Well, the All-Star game is where everybody becomes best friends. What was it, last year or 2 years ago? They got KD and Westbrook together. So
yep.
Every All-Star game, Westbrook's just making amends with people out there who fucking hate his guts.
Why the fuck does everybody hate him so much? Is he just like pompous as fuck?
Oh, he's a prick, dude, right? He's one of those guys you'd love him on your team, but you hate playing against him because he's like, fuck everybody who's not on my squad.
So who do you got? Team Giannis or Team LeBron?
I'm going to go Team Giannis just because I want to. I'm not exactly sure of the rosters off the top of my head either way, but I know you're a James guy based on your dunk contest there. So I'm going to go ahead and take Team Giannis.
I want to go Team Giannis just because I want Embiid to win, and because I love Embiid so much. I'll go Team LeBron. That's fine. That works for me.
Let's go down to the Improv and yell sad suggestions.
Fuck yeah. So first, we need a historical event. Who's got an event?
9/11.
Okay. Maybe something else. All right, let's start with a person.
Robin Williams.
Okay, all right, for real, guys, for real. Who's got a person?
Robin Williams on 9/11.
All right, we've heard from these guys. Let's maybe give somebody else over here a chance. How about a location? Let's go with a location.
The offices of Charlie Hebdo.
Okay, seriously, sir, I just need a location.
Ferguson, Missouri.
German Wings cockpit.
Okay, I heard Starbucks.
No, you didn't.
Nobody said Starbucks.
All right, Starbucks. Okay, now who's in the Starbucks?
Bill Cosby.
You people are monsters.
Oh, we're giving you the tools, buddy. Come on, make some fucking comedy.
There's another draft that got some publicity this weekend because one of its players that we didn't think was going to be even involved in it all of a sudden made the decision, I'm coming and I'm going to be in the draft, and now teams are thinking maybe he's going to be the number 1 pick overall. Kyler Murray. What do you think about that? I know you're a baseball guy. My question is, did he make the right decision?
It's definitely a tough call because the guaranteed money in baseball is there for the life of his contract. However, after playing his way to a Heisman Trophy and what seems to be a top 15 first-round pick, even though he's 5'9", 5'10", and, the scouts aren't completely sold on him, if he can convince an NFL team that he's fully committed and be drafted in the top 15 or even the top round, the money dwarfs the guaranteed baseball money. So right up front, he's going to get more money. It is a more dangerous sport, and the longevity is in question. But if he's strictly making a short-term monetary decision, football's the move.
Now, do you think that he's getting steam as a possible NFL prospect because of how well Baker played this year. The short quarterback out of the Big 12 where their track record isn't the best.
Yeah, 100%, dude. I mean, coming from the same school and the same offense, people were obviously doubting Baker, and his performance as a rookie competing with Saquon Barkley for Rookie of the Year definitely, if I was a scout in that system, alleviates some concern coming from a system quarterback perspective, a Big 12 quarterback, because they don't play defense in that fucking league, so will that transfer? I believe so, and people say he may be even a better pure pocket passer than Baker, so that would even be a one-up for him, and Baker went fucking first overall.
Yeah, and he definitely has more escapability than Baker, so he can kind of pull plays out of his hat. And I actually think he may go number one because here's a little stat for you. He signed to the same agent Cliff Kingsbury joined, and that is the first time a coach and a player have the same agent.
Yeah, but Cliff came out this week and said that Josh Rosen is his guy, and they're not interested in taking a quarterback first overall. So do you think that's a smokescreen and he's full of shit?
I think that's hey, who wants a quarterback? Josh Rosen's here. He's our quarterback, but behind closed doors, we're willing to trade him.
That's definitely a storyline to keep an eye on. But ultimately, what I do think is going to happen, I think he's going to play football for 3, 4, 5 years, obviously play out the first contract. If he's killing it, make that second contract money, because at that point it'll be $30, $40 million a year. But if it doesn't pan out, he's going to be a 24, 25-year-old former first-round draft pick. And fuck, Tim Tebow's showing us that you can make the MLB going from football to baseball, and he didn't play since high school. At least Kyler Murray was fucking playing in college.
I think you're right about that. I think that this guy, he's going to make it last in the NFL, and then once that time has come, it's time to go to the baseball. Me personally, I would do the NFL as well. I think he's making the right decision. I think that the stardom that comes with being a starting quarterback in a city, there's nothing compared to that. You see Mike Trout. You barely ever fucking hear from him. And he's going to be out in the West Coast as well. And we see Mike Trout more at Eagles games than we see highlights of him on fucking ESPN. You see it today. Pitchers and catchers reported this week, and barely anybody even freaking knows it exists.
That's it, baby. This Wednesday, the best day of the year. Only second to Christmas for the favorite day. Pitchers and catchers report. Let's go. Get the gloves popping. Start some PFPs, pitchers fielding practice. Get the fungos going. Those fighting Phils, baby, making moves. I think they got a chance this year.
See, pitchers and catchers to you is like Christmas. To me, it's like, oh, winter is almost over. I can't freaking wait.
Because of that, I wanted to give a brief State of the Union for the Phillies pitchers and catchers to give you, the listeners, kind of an update on the starting rotations to expect for the Phillies, and in AAA with Lehigh Valley, the Iron Pigs, and then some of the higher-rated prospects that they have even lower in the system. Because I think this is going to be the difference in them hanging around through July like they did last year and ultimately taking that next step into the playoffs is going to be their pitching staff.
Would they have the lead going into the All-Star break or a little bit after the All-Star break, and then all of it kind of just dwindled away and everybody just kind of forgot about it because, well, the Super Bowl champions are coming back into town. So hopefully this year we kind of have a little bit of intersection there where we're caring about the Phillies and the Eagles at the same time.
The big splash the Phillies made this past week was avoiding arbitration with their ace pitcher, Aaron Nola. They signed him to a long-term 4-year, $45 million extension with a 5th-year option.
I don't have a lot of expertise in contracts and everything. I'm looking at the top-paid pitchers. Nola's not even close to that. Scherzer's getting $30 million. It's insane.
Yeah, so the average annual value, like I mentioned, is a little bit over $11 million a year. But if you break it down, this year in arbitration, they were scheduled to go to the hearing this week over a difference of $6 and $4 million. So I believe he would have won that case. So if you go with $6 million, he has 2 more years of arbitration. The following year and the year after, they tend to just about double. So you're looking at about 11 to 12 and then 20 to 25. So just there over the course of the 3 years, you're looking at a maximum of 40 to 45 million, and that's 3 years. So we got 2 more years potentially of an option with 15 coming off. So this deal could be 5 and 60 And if, like you just mentioned, you look at his market value when he would have hit free agency, it's going to be 20 to 30 a year. So that's another 20 to 30 million they're going to save. They're saving 30 to 40 million over the life of this contract just because Aaron Nola wanted to take the guaranteed money in case he runs into any arm trouble.
Yeah, it's almost like taking a play out of Howie's book and signing their young stars to these deals before they even come up for discussion. I'm antsy to hear this State of the Unions. Why don't you get this thing going? I want to hear it.
So like I mentioned, your starting rotation is going to be Aaron Nola, Jake Arrieta, and then you have the three breakout candidates filling it out, the same guys as last year, Nick Pivetta, Zach Eflin, and Vince Velasquez. Now, the problem you have there is they're all 5 right-handed pitchers, which is why you're still hearing rumblings of a potential Dallas Keuchel signing because they want to offset all those right-handers with a left-hander. And the wild card, who actually is injured yet again, so you can't count on him, but is Jared Eichhoff. I don't think you're going to get anything out of that guy this year, which leaves you with those 5, and very rarely do you ever make it through a year healthy with just 5 starters. So I guess having said that, Pags, who do you think out of Pivetta, Eflin, and Velasquez, in your opinion, is due for a breakout season?
You know, I'm a big fan of all of them. If I had to lean towards one, I'd probably go Eflin. Didn't he have a streak last year? I just can't trust Vinny Velasquez. He just tries to shove it down the fucking pipe, and it seems to go 400, 500 feet off the bat. And I'm leaning towards Eflin.
Yeah, Eflin, I believe it was the month of June where he went 5-0, 6-0, had an ERA in the ones. Nick Pivetta has the best stuff out of the 3 of them, but tends to get hit around when he leaves it over the middle of the plate. And Vince Velasquez's problem is he always throws 90, 100 pitches in 4 to 5 innings, so he can't go deep in games. So hopefully the bullpen will allow them to do that. But as we continue down the starting pitching ladder, that takes us to the AAA Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, where you're going to get a few names you'll recognize and a few kind of mainstays within their rotation, but their starting 5 as of right now is looking along the lines of Eniel De Los Santos, who we saw at the end of last year, Ranger Suarez, who's the first lefty on this list.
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah, you saw him throw a couple times last year. He was okay, still has some things to work on. And then you got the 2 gentlemen who have had good years, bad years, good years, bad years, but Tom Eichelman and Cole Irvin are kind of those 4A pitchers where they succeed at AAA but tend to get hit around at the big league level. And then Drew Anderson, who's just kind of a name and somebody that you should look into long relief. So the problem is there's a lot of steady arms but not a lot of high-end potential knocking on the door.
So out of those AAA arms, who do you see being the potential one that's going to be brought up into the Phillies starting rotation this year?
Eniel De Los Santos will be the first one who gets called when we have an injury or a doubleheader or something like that. And Ranger Suarez probably has the most upside out of anybody after that. And it's a good question because the people who are now the top prospects after trading Sixto Sanchez to the Marlins for JT Realmuto is a guy by the name of Adonis Medina. You may have heard that name floated around in the Manny Machado talks, but he was at Clearwater last year in high A ball. It looks like and sounds like they're going to push him this year and maybe start him off at Double-A Reading.
It's nice that we have this plethora of arms. I hope some of them pan out to be a little more Aaron Nola-esque.
The high-end prospect names are at the lower level in the Phillies system. They have a guy named Jojo Romero.
Not J.C. Romero.
Not J.C. Romero. Jojo Romero.
Not Joel Embiid.
Jojo Romero, of course. So he was at high A. He'll probably make his way to Double-A Reading. And then there's a name that was actually in Lakewood and threw a no-hitter in the playoffs for them in Middle A ball is Spencer Howard, a former second-round pick who was not a huge name coming out of the draft, had a few down years in college, redshirted, a little bit of an older guy, but he seems to have figured something out mechanically, and he skyrocketed up the prospect boards last summer. So keep an eye on him. I don't think you'll see him in South Philly this summer, but it could be as soon as a year or two when you start hearing that name more often. Now we'll talk about the catchers and what we have going on behind the dish. At the big league level, JT Realmuto, the best catcher in baseball, now on the squad for at least 2 more summers. However, the question is asking yourself, if they can't sign him long-term, who is our next prospect coming up? And both the guys we have at AAA, one of them a buddy of mine who I've worked out with in the past, Matt McBride, who's a local Lehigh kid from Liberty High School, now at the Iron Pigs.
Oh, I remember him at the going to the Iron Pigs game. All I hear is, "This is my town, na 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 na."
Exactly. So he's a little bit of a journeyman, a professional in his own right, but definitely not a prospect. The prospect is going to be at Double-A Reading, and his name is Devai Grulon, and he's a defensive first catcher who had the power numbers show up in Double-A, but that's a small ballpark, and the ball tends to fly out of there. So we'll keep an eye on him, and you may see him in Lehigh Valley eventually this summer. And that's the question, though. Eventually, they're going to have to decide what the future is, and I'm hoping it's JT Real Muto because he's still, I believe, in his late 20s and definitely not slowing down.
So basically what I'm gathering from you is if JT and Knapp go down, we are fucked.
Yeah, definitely not a positive outlook there, and we're going to be on the trade circuit if that's the case.
Those Carlos Ruizes are tough to come by, and it kind of makes you appreciate what we had with the Phils from 08 to 11.
This is the last horseman. Who is this?
This is Flaming Dragon.
Oh, okay. Flaming Dragon. Fuckface. First, take a big step back and literally fuck your own face! Now, I don't know what kind of pan-Pacific bullshit power play you're trying to pull here, but Asia Jack is my territory. So whatever you're thinking, you better think again. Otherwise, I'm going to have to head down there, and I will rain down on a godly fucking firestorm upon you. You're going to have to call the fucking United Nations and get a fucking binding resolution to keep me from fucking destroying you. I am talking scorched earth, motherfucker. I will massacre you. I will fuck you up. We don't negotiate with terrorists.
Pitchers and catchers, that's exciting, but you know what's more exciting? Football. And we have the semifinals of our AAF uniform breakdown. Based off of what you guys picked, we have the Final Four. The Orlando Apollos advance to play the San Diego Fleet.
My Apollos with a late charge to get through the legends of Atlanta. I dig it. I dig it. So this is a tough one for me. I actually had both these winners in the first rounds. I guess I can go either way here. I do like the Fleet and the Naval Academy ship like I mentioned. However, for some reason, man, that fucking orange guy out there shooting that arrow, I dig it. I'm going Apollos.
The Greek god Apollo. Come on, you got to get this right.
That's exactly right. My Greek god Apollo. That's what I said.
I'm going to go the Fleet. I had expressed my distaste with the Apollos uniform. I'm going to go San Diego Fleet. Now, in the second game, we have the Birmingham Iron advancing, like I said, black and silver. Everybody loves it. I was right. And the Salt Lake City Stallions. Miho, what do you think?
So I'm going to continue with, I'm not a big fan of the Birmingham Iron, and they just plagiarized off the Sharks from Any Given Sunday. So I'm not going to ride that one, even though you guys out there probably think it's the best fucking uniform and it's going to win. That pisses me off. So I'm going Stallions. Let's go. Blue and silver.
Do you think the coach walks in as the Birmingham Iron and gives the speech of Al Pacino?
The 6 inches in front of your face.
I'm going iron all the way. Let's take it to the ship, baby.
I'm going Stallions, Apollos, and you got the Fleet Iron. Oh, baby. Let us know, listeners. Break the tie.
So we're going to post those on our social media accounts. You guys vote. Once it ends, we'll get to our championship round. But, you know, we can't get enough of this AAF football, and we're going to do a little something unique right now, and that is draft right here, live, the AAF Fantasy Football. Basically, what we're going down to is 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and we're just going to pick a kicker and defense. So we flipped a coin to see who's going to go first. I won, so I get first pick. We're going to do a little snake draft here, so Kev will get 2 picks next. I'm going to go with the late Colt, Trent Richardson, out of the Birmingham Iron.
Of course you are. He sucks. That's a terrible pick.
2 touchdowns last week, baby.
Oh, yeah. That's the only 2 he's getting all year. All right. So I guess I should go running back myself. I'm going to go from the Orlando Apollos because I like their uniforms. I'm going to go Akeem Hunt. And then I'm actually going to take somebody off of Salt Lake because I like their uniforms as well. And that's Joel Boagnon.
Who?
Joel Boagnon.
Okay, that's a good pick, I guess. I'm going to go with Jaquan Gardner, another running back out of the San Diego Fleet. And then I'm going to go receiver Quentin Patton out of the Birmingham Iron as well.
They're not going to score. That's a terrible pick. 2 on the same team. Look at you, a rookie. I'm going quarterback with my next pick, and I'm going to take John Wolford from Arizona, the Hot Shots. And then I'm going to go with a receiver here, Mikael McKay from San Antonio.
I'm going to go Rashad Ross out of the Arizona Hot Shots. Gavin Escobar, tight end out of the San Diego Fleet.
Perfect. I'm going to follow that up with Charles Johnson, wide receiver from Orlando. And then my tight end to round out the starting lineup is possibly a man with the best name in the league.
Oh, I knew you were going to take him.
Bug Howard.
I wanted him. I should have taken him.
Bug Howard. Oh, baby.
Out of the Atlanta Hot Shots. I love it. I'm going to go quarterback now. Luis Perez. Keep my Birmingham Iron. If they don't score, I am fucked. Since Luis Perez is Birmingham Iron and I'm running the Birmingham Iron pretty hard, I'm going to have to go Garrett Gilbert, Orlando, as my backup quarterback.
Nice pick. 2 quarterbacks in a row. God, your strategy just sucks. This is awesome. I'm taking Greg Ward Jr., wide receiver, former Eagle, as my backup wide receiver, and my backup running back, a gentleman by the name of Zach Stacy, who you'll remember from the National Football League as well. So I'll take those 2 gentlemen in my next picks.
Let's go Jarrell Presley as my backup running back. And then for my receiver, let's go Brian Brown out of the San Diego Fleet.
I like it. So my last 2 position players here, backup tight end, I'm going to go with Anthony Denham. And then my backup quarterback, Philip Nelson. I have no idea who Philip Nelson is, but welcome to the squad.
All right, and I get last pick of tight end. Let's go with Cole Hunt.
Now we each have a kicker and a defense to pick here. I'm taking another fantastic name for the kicker, and then you can take a kicker. I'm going with the Atlanta Legends as a team, and my man, Young Ho Koo. Yes, that's right, you heard that. Young Ho Koo.
I'm going to go Nick Novak out of the Birmingham Iron.
Man, you better hope they fucking score.
Oh, man, I'm going heavy. I might as well just name my team name the Iron.
All right, and I'm going to take a page out of your book here, but I'm going to take the Iron defense.
Oh, man, that's a good call.
It's the only Iron I got, and I'm taking their defense.
I'm going to go with my boy from William & Mary, playing safety for the Orlando Apollos. I'm going to go the Apollos defense.
Those are the squads there. We're going to post those up on the page. We want to get your takes. We're going to keep score as we go along every weekend here. Standard rules, PPR league, defensive scores. We're going to go something like 10 points for a shutout, 8 points for 1 to 9, 6 points for 10 to 19, and so on and so forth, just to keep it round numbers and pretty simple. But I think we're going to enjoy this.
Yeah, it's going to be a little old school. We don't have a computer telling us who the fuck scored, how many points. We're going to have to go into the old box score and check out the scores. But, hey, it'll be fun. It'll be back to our roots of the old days of fantasy football.
That's it, right? Almost like we're reading the newspaper to have a little bit of fun here, circa 1990.
I think this is going to be fun. It's going to keep us engaged. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Eventually maybe we'll get a fan team and compete against us for a prize. Maybe Ram King can hook us up with some shirts to throw to the winning team.
I like that idea. I like that. Absolutely. But as always, guys, thanks for listening. This is a wrap on our 15th episode on the 2Close2Call cast. So as you guys know, find us out there on all your podcast platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher. I don't know that one, but we're on it, baby. So let's go.
5-star ratings, subscribe to our pages, like us, comment, get on our Instagram at 2Close2Callcast, on our Twitter. Comment, like us, let us know what you guys think of everything, and we're here for you.
That's it, baby. And as always, have a happy Valentine's Day and TGIF.
Later, guys.
Peace.